أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أفضل الذكر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد حبيب إله العالمين أبا القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. I begin in the name of God, the most gracious and merciful, the everlasting and compassionate and passionate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has blessed us all together under circumstances to remember the one who dealt with the greatest and most tragic of circumstances, and that is the Siddiq al-Tahira, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayha. And in these days of Fatimiya, we ask Allah to grant us her ziyarah in the dunya and her shafa'ah in the akhirah. يقول الله تعالى بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا تحسبن الذين قتلوا في سبيل الله أمواتا بل أحياء عند ربهم يرزقون. آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم. نوروا قلوبكم وزينوا مجالسكم بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our Lady Fatima alayha salam, or Our Holy Lady of Fatima. These are titles. Maybe many will associate them with Sayyidah Zahra alayha salam. The reality is, we are not the only ones who use these invocations when remembering Sayyidah Zahra. There is a whole group in the world that believe in a figure known as Lady Fatima and venerate her and honor her and praise her and even the rosary and tasbih, but they're based in Portugal. And you may have heard or seen in churches that, oh, Our Lady of Fatima, Our Lady Fatima, aid us, bless us. It doesn't take much to investigate and see that there is a whole worldview that honors what they claim is Sayyidah Maryam alayhi salam, but in reality associate the same name and title that we give and know is with Sayyidah Zahra salamullahi alayha. This leads to a few points and question marks many of us have to look into. Studying history, we notice that there was a time where a group of people came up with some extravagant claims in the town in Portugal called Fatima. Even the town is called Fatima. These things and terms would not necessarily be associated with Sayyidah Zahra alayhi salam. Somewhere that is foreign to the worldview of Ahlul Bayt, that even a town has her name. There's a mausoleum to her name. They say we owe this to one incident that happened. You could even look this up. There is no conspiracy behind the event. In fact, it's quite extravagant and bizarre. I've had the honor of going myself to that location and site. And what you notice is there's what we call maqam. And this is a place where these events occurred that led to the naming and recognition of the extraordinary moment that occurred, where there's a figurine in what we see as an abaya. In fact, it's like an abayat ras, full hijab with tasbih. And you say, well, who is this? Like, that's Fatima. Who? Mother of Jesus. But hold on. Fatima is something, this is someone else. Like, that's another name for Mary. Last I checked, personally, I've studied the Bible a lot. I've never seen that there. Fatima, where did you get that? It's like, no, it doesn't predate 1917. Because in 1917, in the town of Fatima, Portugal, something extraordinary happened that has led generations. Or just go to any church today. Go any church. See sometimes the prayer candles. It says, have you seen? Or am I the only one that's noticed? The candles, Our Lady Fatima, aid us, bless us. Some statues, some churches, especially if you go towards it's a Roman Catholic examination, but it's now been cemented into that legacy. In 1917, 3 children came forth with some bizarre claims. These are children in the ages of 10, 9, and 7. A girl the 10-year-old, by the name of Lucia. A boy, her cousins, Francisco, 8, and Jacinta's their brother. He's 7 years. These are children. The first observation is, Habibi, we barely trust eyewitness testimony from grown people. You want to bring children and now create theology and aqa'id? I agree with you. If there wasn't another big deal that led to a ginormous consensus of 70,000 people witnessing the same thing. Newspaper articles. Richard Dawkins, the grand atheist, wages war against anything to do with God. In his book, God Delusions, I can't deny that this happened. Because 70,000 people attesting this, so it must have been some mass hallucination. They were all on something. What exactly happened? These 3 children came together and they said, we're playing games. Do you know what was going on in 1917, by the way, in the world? World War I. The world was going through hell, turmoil. Everyone was involved with some clash. People lost lives. And we're going through a world war in many ways, but people don't call it that. But it genuinely is. But this was happening. And these children were playing in the field until they report the following. So who's the Senate and the narrator? These kids. Usually, even in the study of hadith, children narrators are not the strongest. They're not necessarily muwathaq. They're kids. What do you trust them? But here's where it gets fascinating. They said that we saw, which is in the middle, in the field, we saw an apparition appear, a ghost, a lady shining so bright, her light radiated to the sky, and describing her, she was fully modest, clothed, and she was holding a rosary. That's why Catholicism has the rosary. This is exactly the same tasbih process. And she looked at us, and we looked at her, and we said, who are you? And she, according to the account, says, my name is Fatima. So I just want to know, where did you get Maryam from? She said, I'm Fatima. Where did you get Maryam from? Anyways, you could deny it as much as you like. If the lady said, I'm begging you, that's my name. So my name is Fatima. And what's happening? She said, I have 3 things to tell you. And I have 3 predictions to give you. The first is, World War I will end, ya awladi. World War I will finish, ya shabab. This war that's been going on, countless lives lost. I give you a prediction. World War I ends. 2, but when it ends, there's going to be a wave of communism, atheism. You're going to see people lose faith. After the war, people usually recover that. People are going to get worse, theologically, spiritually speaking. That's going to happen. 3, 2 of you are going to die, my children. 1 of you will live a very long life. And therefore, I have 3 things you need to do. Number 1, tell people what I just told you. Tell them the predictions. Number 2, tell people to keep the rosary. Make sure they do tasbih. And I beg people sometimes after salah, just do some tasbih. There you go, you got a visionary doing the same thing. Tell people do tasbih. Keep the rosary. Number 3, tell people to pray for forgiveness. So istighfar, tasbih, and warn them of what I just told you guys. These kids, they go back to town, they tell their mom and dad, they're freaking out, they're panicking. No one's going to believe that. I've had kids tell me bizarre things. Like, good story, Habibi. I'm not gonna, until one of the things they said happened. See, that's where it becomes thought-provoking. It's like little kid comes, says, Baba, did you know a ghost told me that we're going to be rich in 2 days? Habibi, I dreamt the same thing. It's okay. 2 days later, the guy has some inheritance that kicked in, millions of dollars. Wait, what else did that ghost tell you, Baba? So then you start saying, wait, maybe there's a point. A few months later, just about few months later, about 4 months from that, this event happened in May 13th. 4 months later, World War I ended. So they said that must have been a good coincidence. These kids, whatever. Parents who told their friends noticed this, that hey, they were not wrong. We thought this war would be the end. It would go on forever and we'd all die. So they got that right. What else did they say, if you paid attention? There's going to be a wave of what? Atheism. People will leave their faith. You know what was going on in 1917? Which political movement dominated the world? And that was anti-faith and theology. Communism, Leninism, Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche, in his famous work he wrote, he has a story and he defends this, that God has died. There's no more God anymore. He's dead. That's the most optimal way to live. Existentialism is the only reality. You have to find your own purpose. There is no purpose to seek. You have to make it. There was a huge wave, and then atheism led to mass carnage. Today, people who don't believe in God, they find it normal to justify genocide. Because if you remove God from the equation, clearly there's nothing that's going to hold you accountable in as so far as you think. But that happened. And so they said that this is also a reality. What was the third thing she said to predict? She said that 2 of you will die, little kids. And you, the girl, her name's Lucia, you'll grow very old. Those 2 boys actually died. It hasn't passed a year and they passed away. The girl, she died 2005. She grew up, she became a nun, she was in her hundreds about. She became a saint in the Vatican, by the way. The Pope venerated her. She lived a super long life. But the issue is, this wasn't the first time she appeared. So Fatima is going to come back again. Yeah, I mean, what's the big deal here? She went outside, the girl, and this aberration came again. She says, my daughter, I have more things to tell you now. She's like, tell me, Fatima, tell me. She says, my daughter, you must now, in this position, be wary that another world war will happen. I said World War I finishes, another world war, which happened, World War II kicked in. So you must also keep doing the same things. Keep the rosary and do tasbih. After a while, the mayor and chief of the town of Fatima, Portugal, arrested the baby, the little girl. Says, you're causing hysteria. How do you know this? She's like, I don't know. She comes out and tells me these things. Okay, who's this lady? Her name's Fatima. Who is Fatima? Besides the daughter of Rasulullah. She's like, that's Sayyidah Maryam. Until she says, and she tells me one more thing. That I'm going to emerge one more time. This is 3 times. When I emerge the 3rd time, but this time everyone will see me because you were thrown in jail. Little girl was in jail for about a few weeks. And then they released her. She came back, she's like, listen, my daughter, I will come again. This time, how dare they throw you in jail like that? I will give a sign so big, not only will you and everyone see it, the world will see it. You know what happened? They told her, what's that date? We'll all come, because now people have seen the proof. Now people have seen that everything she says kind of happens and predicts. The biggest one, the thing that took the cake was what? When the 2 boys died. Like they will die young and you're going to get older. The older one was pending until she actually got a lot older in 2005. She said, this last sign the whole world will see. This is well documented. She comes forth and says that let them meet in the town square. I will show them something. They all gathered. Now, in this incident, 70,000 people showed up. In 1919, so this is 3 years later from 1917 when the first vision happened. In 1919, 70,000 people came forth. Now, when 70,000 come out, the mayor is there, the city is there, everyone's there. Everyone's ready to document. This is what we would call, even in the world of narration and tradition and literature, this would be a hadith tawatur. Even if they're all kuffar, you have to almost believe them. Why? Because how do they all come and agree to the same thing? So they come forth and they're like, okay, where's this sign? Where is the mother of Jesus by the name of Fatima? That still gets me. But where is she? She's like, she said there's going to be a sign. It'll be a sign. Until Lucia says, she's about 13 years old. And she's like, look up. And they see that the sun began to move around in circles and spin. And then it showed many different colors. And it as if fell onto the earth. And everyone was going mad and insane and started to cry. The sun spun around in a very extravagant manner. And colors, different colors came out of it. And it's as if it fell on the earth. Every one of those 70,000 witnessed it. From that moment on, the University of Lisbon came forth and did a survey. They actually asked everyone. Now the documents have been published. Asked as much as they can from the 70,000. Did you really see that? Back then, there were unfortunately no iPhones, no Samsungs, no Androids. There's none of that. But you have so many eyewitness testimony. They asked them, they did a survey, the University of Lisbon, and they said, everyone said the same thing. I swear we weren't drinking anything. The sun spun, did one of these ones right here. And then it turned rainbow, and it's like it fell on the earth. That solidified so much of people's iman. They got so much faith, but what faith? In like a Catholic narrative. And they're like, that's why Jesus is right. The irony is, How do you know? Because of Fatima. Like what? In this context, there was also a newspaper by the name, it was a secular newspaper. It was an atheist one. It was anti-Catholic. It was very popular. It was actually part of the Masonic temple by the name of O Seculo. O Seculo is a newspaper in Portugal that hated religion. It had to reveal on the front page, and it's still available, you can all read these online. It had to reveal on the front page that we actually have no explanation because we saw it too. See, that's when the proof is in the pudding, subhanAllah. It's like, we saw it. I don't know what to tell you. I saw the sign. I can't deny it. It takes someone like Richard Dawkins and his God delusions like, look, this happened. I can't deny history, but I'm going to deny your interpretation. You guys were all on something. The problem to that response is, by the way, if they were all mass hallucination, is, okay, mass hallucinations can happen in some aspect, theoretically. But if everyone mass hallucinated, how can they narrate the same thing? If their minds are gone, how do they all say the same thing happened? I thought they all have their own, they're gone, right? I imagine if someone hallucinates, that they'll see something, that person sees something else. 70,000 people who've hallucinated can say we hallucinated the same thing. That is also unlikely. And so there's a lot of unanswered questions. The first one that concerns us, why we decide to even bother bringing this subject matter to attention, is that, Habibi, this is our issue. Fatima, you can't claim her. Fatima is us. Fatima belongs to us. You can't praise Fatima and ignore Fatima to Zahra alayhi salam. That belongs to us. So the following questions have to be answered. Which questions? The very first one is this. What do we say as Shia about Fatima to Zahra alayhi salam appearing into our lives? Can she come into our lives? How many times have you heard in the majalis, As-Sayyida Zahra tahdhuru al-majalis? She attends the majalis al-Husayniyya especially. Can she actually attend majalis? Can she come back? The second question is, regarding this story, Sayyida Zahra, was she bothered to appear to random kids like this? Fadlan, Christian kids? So also, she turns to kids who then don't become Shia. You would think Sayyida Zahra, if she comes to kids that are non-Muslim in a non-Muslim town, she would teach them about tashayyu', wilayah. How do we cope with the historicity of such an event? Can we give it a ta'wil in some aspects or no? Additionally to that, when we study in the world of Islamic theology, what are some signs that give us proof that maybe Ahlul Bayt do show up to our lives? But what are some exaggerations as well? As far as this event goes, brothers and sisters, I see why not. I genuinely see. You don't have to take my word for it. You can have your own opinion. But it's not impossible. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala generates a sign to guide a group of people. Now some might say, but they were misguided. They went somewhere else. Allah can give you the best prophet. But Mecca can go somewhere else even if they has the best prophet. Yes or no? Allah can dispatch the best imam. But they could wage a war in the battle of Jamal against that imam. Yes or no? You have the best. It doesn't mean you're going to follow it. I mean, if for example, you all get a vision of a Siddiqa al-Tahira, that doesn't mean you're going to follow her, whether you like it or not. It just means she gave you the hujjah. It's up to you to deal with it. Furthermore, are we sure what we have from what we heard is an accurate version of what happened? You have kids telling you something. But could there have been motives by, for example, high institutions, religious groups, churches, others say, listen, her name's Fatima, that doesn't sound good. We can't change that because that has been made very clear that she's introduced as such. But she's preaching Catholicism. Says why? Rosary. But rosary is our thing. Forgiveness. That's also our thing. And by the way, I say it's our thing. Why? Because in Catholicism, you don't have forgiveness straight to God. You go to a priest. You go to a priest. Did you know that? You go to a priest and you say, Father, forgive me, for I have sinned. So if you want me to forgive you, you got to admit to some guy that you don't know. With respect to the religious hierarchy, I have utmost respect to any religious hierarchy if they're genuine people. But your forgiveness is between you and Allah. You sinned against Allah. Therefore, your sin has to be atoned between you and Allah Azza wa Jal. So I don't have to use you. It's not use you. Because using something to help you achieve something is a form of tawassul, which is good. But saying, I depend on only you to help me. Now, that's wrong. In this context, that's wrong. So she says to them, tell people to seek forgiveness from God. These are our things. This belongs to us. Tasbih al-Zahra. It's like, what does she look like? Abayat Ras. I get it. It's like, that's Sayyidah Maryam. Actually, that is Sayyidah Maryam. Abaya, hijab, modesty, forgiveness, ifkar, tawassul, istighfar, dua, tasbih. That's Sayyidah Maryam. Exactly, alayhi salam. That's exactly her. But she says, but wait, my name is Fatima of Zahra alayhi salam. In this context, many events could have happened, brothers and sisters, that could have given us this narrative. Now the reality is, what if, okay, at least the eyewitness people, why did they not become followers of Fatima of Zahra alayhi salam? Once again, how many Muslimin received the message from the lips of Rasulullah, but how many of them ظَلُّوا ضَلَالًا بَعِيدًا? These things can happen, brothers and sisters. It's not, at the end of the day, it's a sign that still combuzzled many at that time period. Does Sayyidah Zahra, am I saying that's her? No, I'm not saying that at all. But is it impossible? No, it's not. It's not too hard on God. Furthermore, some say, what about that sun situation? The sun spun around, we'd all be dead. Again, it's not too hard. Why do we put limits on God? I don't understand. Habibi, at the end, I checked. I really did. I think I'm Muslim. I think God does ma'ajiz. He does miracles. I checked. I mean, did you check? God, did you read the Quran once or twice? You can see miracles happen. So, but a miracle can't happen without the laws of physics breaking. Allah can stop that law from breaking and say, hey, here's the purpose. Like if you read the ayah in the Quran, اقتربت الساعة وشق القمر. That the hour arrived and the moon split. One tafsir says this might be Yawm al-Qiyamah, because Yawm al-Qiyamah is called the day of as-Sa'a as well. But most of the tafsir say clearly that Rasulullah was challenged. Because then that next ayah says, they said, you're a good magician. So they're talking about not Qiyamah. It's how you just fooled us with magic. Mushrikeen Quraysh said, show us a miracle. He said, I'm going to show you a miracle. But if you do kufr after this miracle, because it's big, then Allah will punish you and discipline you very severely. So we'll do it, we'll accept. Boom, the moon split in half. Read Surah Al-Qamar. So moon split in half. That would do crazy things to the earth, by the way. Little gravitational waves and poles, things like that can affect. And this could be a miracle only for Quraysh. Allah can subjugate the miracle just for a group of people and not others. Because this group has challenged. Why would I bother others with a miracle related to these guys? Although, by the way, I'll be honest, there was a historical reference to a group from Myanmar who said, if you do the dates, exactly the year 600 and about 615, which is when the Prophet was in Mecca, when this ayah was revealed, they said something bizarre happened with the moon. In Myanmar, they reported that. But again, that's not me looking for evidence to prove my Quran. My Quran is enough. But you do see side references here and there that it could have been a global thing, but Allah could still preserve the system and the way of life in order for life to move on. For the sake of what? A mu'jizah. To bring burden on people, proof for them. So this could happen in the sense that the sun spins and does a dance and whatever, and people are just like hysterical, what's going on? Such that it brings back, in a time of heightened atheism, a degree of God-centricism. Okay, you're not going to become a rawafid, but at the very least, maybe you have some God inside you. Have some faith inside you. Don't give up, Allah is there. But then, the biggest proof is the lady's name. You would have to ask, because you shouldn't be that naive. That when she says, look, my name's Fatima, يعني Maryam, I just said Fatima. I'm surprised she came back 2 times for them, even after those moments, I swear. Many of us would give up. I literally told you my name. But that's fine. Islamically speaking, we've had moments like this, brothers and sisters. You might know someone, by the way, who in your life tells you, Wallah, I don't know for sure, but I think I saw someone that reminds me a lot of some members of the Ahlul Bayt. Can I outright deny them? It's hard because Allah is too good. Ahlul Bayt are too generous to sometimes deprive their Shia of, if they are worthy, the blessing and honor of being in their presence. Because number one, you have an Imam with you all the time, inshallah. Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu. He's here. Does that mean you can't? No, he's here, you'll see him. Hadith says every year he attends Arafah and he's in Hajj. So I imagine every Muharram, I wonder where he may be. Every Shahada of ex-Imam, I wonder where he would be up. It's not that you might see him, it's not impossible. Beyond that, can the dead come back and see us? This one requires a more overview. Because we know when someone dies, that's it, it's over. There are many exceptions in some aspects. One of them is this. If someone dies a shaheed, You've seen the ayah that says these are two conditions. That don't perceive those who died in Allah's way as dead, but they're alive. The first condition is they died in the way of Allah. But they have to die in the way of Allah as Muslims. There are people that die doing good things, but Allah had high expectations for them. So they lived the life of Islam, because some people I know, they believe that, okay, I'll just die shaheed and life is good. No, bro. You can't live your life disobeying Allah and inshallah pray for shahada, because even then Allah won't give you shahada. The honor of shahada is reserved for those, habibi, high ranks, devoted. This is all the shuhada that died in the way of Allah. You see how they pray Salat al-Layl, it's so beautiful. Some shabab have never prayed Salat al-Layl and they want shahada. But that's something reserved for people who are ahl of shahada. Because what does it mean? The term shahada, yashhad, to look and witness. One interpretation of why they call them shuhada is that they saw their taklif in the dunya, so Allah gave them the biggest reward in the akhirah. So if you didn't see your taklif and didn't do it, you can't say I'm just going to die shaheed, because you're blind to your own taklif. Number two is la, shaheed in the sense that they're not dead. And a person that doesn't die sees. وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا قُتِلَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. So he's not mayyit, بل حي. بل أحياء عند ربهم. That's the interesting part, is they're alive but with Allah. So you could be alive in Jannah but not with Allah. It's like, la, they're mine now. They're in my attention. They're in my care. On top of that, receiving my rizq, yurzaqun. Receiving rizq. It's in the rizq that some ulama and mufassirun said that they have the honor to come back. The shaheed comes back. I haven't seen a shaheed return. How many shuhada left us that you wish returned? One way of looking at it is, don't be so superficial. العالم حي وإن كان ميت والجاهل ميت وإن كان حي. How many ulama left us? But the best, by the way, is shuhada ulama that leave us. It's as if they're alive today. From how much you talk about them, how much you remember them, how much you see them in your life, how much ulama, afadil, maraja that died, how much of those who have sacrificed. Alim and shaheed. Yani you got the best of both worlds. Alimat, shuhada as well. And we talked about Sayyidah Amina Sadr, al-Shahida, rahmatullahi alayha. How legacy makes it hard for her to die in our lives. Ulama that have left us, Baqir al-Sadr, all of these who have just sacrificed, their ilm makes them alive and shahada makes them more alive. وَإِنَّ الدَّارَ الْآخِرَةَ لَهِيَ الْحَيَوَانِ. That the afterlife, it's real living. We're all dead until we get there actually. It's the other way around, ya habibi. They are more living, so the shaheed is more alive. That's one. The other thing with the rizq is different. La. They've said rizq means they're getting blessed because they're shaheed. So what rizq do they want? Rizq is not money and food here. Rizq is they can come back. In what way? In particular instances that we have hadith, it's not wrong. The one who answers this is Imam Musa al-Kadhim, salawatullahi wa salamu alayh. He says, Yabna Rasulillah, how is the shaheed receiving rizq? He says, rizq means that in the akhirah, they're with us, Ahlul Bayt. Is there better rizq than that, by the way? Akhirah, you're with Ahlul Kisab. I would not want to come back. Why would I leave? Maybe the door is open. Go back to your family. Just a moment. Help them. Let them get La. This is my family. Imam al-Kadhim says, La. They're with us, Ahlul Bayt. Wallah, there's no better rizq than that one. One hadith also adds that they are given permission. And this is not just for shuhada. This hadith does not say shuhada. But if it's also for the non-shaheed, then it is for the shaheed. Min bab awla. As just logically speaking. This hadith says that if someone passes away and they were a believer, a mu'min, mu'mina, antum inshallah ta'ala, that Allah out of a karama allows them to come see their family. Some might say, I haven't seen my family who was a mu'min, mu'mina. Many times you see them in dreams. It's in Allah's way, not your way. Many times you see them in dreams. Even times, there are some instances where everyone won't believe you and they'll laugh at you, but you can almost swear, Wallah, I heard them. Me even saw them. How is it the way that they left their energy in my life and I can get answers from them? Especially if a mu'min or mu'minah has a debt outstanding. Because in barzakh, it appears that this is something that agitates the soul. It does. Madyun, they have a debt. It's something that bothers them. It's like, I can't believe I just left life and I didn't fulfill something I owe. Haqq al-nas is very wajib. And so they're like, they come back to inform you, please, this guy, please help me. I remember my father. My dear father told me that there was a family member of a friend who passed away. The wife kept telling my dad that, Sayyidina, I see him daily in my dream. Daily. But he does not look happy. Ya Ammi, wallah, he was a good guy. Not once he yelled at me. Not once he missed salah. Not once he called me names. Wallah, he was a good husband. I know his past. He never had, we say, swalif minna minna. He didn't have any of that one. So, but he looks uncomfortable in my dream. Looks uncomfortable. What is he talking about? What is he doing? And he's just agitated. My dad asked her. So the tradition goes back, me, my dad. Inshallah, that's a good sanad. It's like, did he owe any money? She's like, he was into business, but that's really it. It's like, okay, but does that mean, did he have something that he had to finish up? She's like, I could ask, I'm not sure. But I could tell, digging through his room and papers, that he owed someone $5 left for a favor he did for him. Apparently he was hungry, and he's like, can you buy me this? I'll pay you later. That later never came, he died. He said, my father responding, if you can just get that $5, just give it to whoever he wrote. SubhanAllah, look how careful he was. $5 and he wrote it down. Titkhayal? Until you owe someone something, you're like, I'll remember. The bigger the money amount that you owe is, by the way, the more you say, I'll remember it. Because hopefully you forget it. Until you get someone banging your door in the middle of the night. $5, these are muttaqoon guys, these are different level. They write it down. Now I owe someone money. What stopped him was that he died. Literally over my own dead body, I'll have to, until he literally died. She's like, I took that $5. I know who he owes it to. I know the guy. We told him, hey, just come here. We have something to give you. You're a friend of ours. You're really good. Here's $5. He's refused to take it. He's like, listen, if you don't take the $5, these nightmares are not going to stop. Take the $5 right now and go. It's like, it's just $5. Take it. He took it. She's like, immediately they stopped. It showed me from a dream later that he looked so much more comfortable, detensed, relaxed, and he said, thank you. The dead, when they leave, it is the case that they are bothered if they owe something. That's why Allah, from the rizq He gives, He allows them to return. To shwayya, I owe something. But that's Yahuwah Habibi. This is someone good. If someone was not upright, was not careful, did not care about Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah is not going to care about them. You give, and inshallah you receive what you gave. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is a karama that tafaddul. I don't have to do that. You had your chance and you missed it. And I'm going to let you come in someone's dream. I'm not going to do that for you. That's one exception, that they can come in those forms. What about in the sense of someone who didn't have the honor of dying in such a pure state? There is something we say. You know, a lady that dies during child labor dies as a shaheeda. Someone who dies doing amar bil ma'roof. You're trying to encourage goodness. Shabab, tonight we have a program and you're trying to encourage people to go. In that encouragement process, in the middle of that, Allah took your ruh, but it's a good state to be in, shaheed. Nahi an al-munkar. There was a shaheed in Iran. I remember I watched the news about this guy. He saw a lady being taken advantage of. He's tough. He's like, this is my sister, khalas, I don't care. I don't care who she is. He runs after to fight these guys. He helped her. She got saved. He died. They called him Shaheed al-Amr bil-Ma'roof wal-Nahi an al-Munkar. And he got one of the greatest tashyi' you'll ever see. The biggest funeral procession that has happened, I think, in the town of Qum. One of the biggest. For a non-alim deen. A marja' Ayatollah Subhani prayed on him. And he got buried in the shrine of Sayyidah Fatima al-Ma'suma alayhi salam. Because in his last days, he did nahi an al-munkar and died a shaheed. That's tawfiq. That's a karama. Allah says, I like you today. I'm going to give you this. And we cry because it's sad, but we almost cry, you got lucky and we didn't. So we cry for ourselves. That's an honor and tawfiq. Say that doesn't happen into our life. What do we do in that case? There's something you can do where you still receive this. The hadith by Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, Salamullahi wa salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, says, ألا من مات على حب آل محمد مات شهيدا. اللهم صل على محمد. If you die just with the love of Ahlul Bayt, the Prophet and his family, you will die that shaheed, receiving rizq and with your Lord. طبعا, we have to make this distinction. There's a difference between that shaheed and the shaheed of the jihad, of Sayyid al-Shuhada, of dying in the way of Islam. I remember, brothers and sisters, the other day I heard this actually. The other day I heard this from one of the ulama in Najaf. 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I was in Najaf 2 days ago. In Najaf, there was a scholar that told us that Hussein Kamil, la'natullahi alayh, Saddam's right hand, in 1991, exactly in the political uprising of Thawra, al-Intifada Sha'baniyah, says that this guy gathered a group of the khadam of Imam al-Hussein, who every year they would come and cook, and he grabbed these guys. And he said, listen, from now on, it's over. No more of this. You know very well, we were unable to do any more azaa and sha'air. We couldn't even walk mashaya. It's over. It's just like, it's over. They fought back. Like, nah, it's not over. We'll do it. And so Muharram came, they did. Khadam, they cooked, they pulled azaa. He said it's over, they did it. He called for them this time. You know when the Ba'athis, they call you. It's game over, guaranteed. There's a group of 10 people. The 5 he grabs. These 5 he grabs, and he's already made his mind up, brothers and sisters. He's already made his mind. Look, you're all dead. But he doesn't tell them that. He says, just quick question. Who loves Hussein ibn Ali? Ummi wa abi Aba Abdullah. He shot all of them. He's like, if you say that, he shot them all, and they all died. He takes the other 5, and they had just saw what? If you respond in that way, you get shot. Who loves Hussein ibn Ali? One guy said, I do. This guy, after seeing what happened if you say, I love Imam al-Hussein, still said, I love Imam al-Hussein, and he shot him. The other 4 stayed quiet. These other 4 that lived on came and told the story. They said, that night we dreamt, we saw, and that day we were thinking, he knew he was going to die. Because when the first group said yes, they didn't know what would happen to them. So it was understandable that if they said, if you love Muhammad Hassan, yeah, I do, that they would die. But he knew by saying yes, he would die. He still said it. What gives? They said, at night we saw in our dream our friend. We asked him, what happened? And he's like, I'm not going to answer. Let Imam al-Hussein answer. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam comes. And he says, you're right, those 5 that died, they are with my Ansar and Ashab. They're with them now. This one, he knew he was going to die, he's with me now. This one knew that if I say, I love you, Aba Abdullah, that I will meet him. And he wanted to meet me, so I want to meet him too. Those didn't know, so they're in a good status. They're with my Ansar. But because he knew death was waiting for him, he said, Labbayka ya Hussein. And I said, I'm here. These things can happen, brothers. That's a shaheed. Dies in the love of Aba Abdullah. That's a shaheed too. Anything you do, amar, nahi, anything, well, Allah will give you shahada. It's not something that you have to be lucky for. But just make sure you're not in a haram state. Make sure that it's not that time where you're listening to haram music. Ever. Lest Allah Azza wa Jalla takes you like that. You're with that haram person, and I called a person haram. Yes, there are people that are walking haram. Kutla min ash-shar wal haram. That's all they are. Leave them alone. Malik al-Maut comes and takes you. He's like, man, you're bad timing. Last week you were sitting with the Sayyid and the Sheikh. So now you're with shaitan and jinn. You want me to take you now? Make sure the moment you're in is good. Hatta it's good in the moment, you could die shaheed. Shaheed meaning what? La ma'askar, la siyuf. La this and that. It's just hay, yurzaq, and Allah, and maybe Allah will give you blessings to return to give those that are behind some tawfiq. Taban, the wrongdoing evil one does come back as well. They do. But for their families, and they can see them doing haram. Allah says, hey, look, you in burning barzakh, check out your family members, how haram they live. That adds to their punishment, by the way. That they see that the legacy they leave behind, dang, look at my son. and he didn't change up even after I died, that adds more depression, by the way. For the mu'min, Allah allows them to see. Come look at your family. Allah hides any haram they do. Allahu Akbar. Because Allah is good. He's not going to bother a mu'min. He's like, look, they're doing good. By the way, right now, look away. Just look away for a moment. They sadly are doing something wrong, but now you can come back and look again. They're praying, by the way. Your granddaughter, your grandson, your brother, come check out. So it gives you a solace even in barzakh. That is one interpretation. There is a last one, by the way. What about that famous one that we're talking about? Fatima al-Zahra enters our majlis. Imam al-Hussein enters our majlis. Number one, so that we don't take too long on you, my dear brothers and sisters, on this wet, windy Wednesday, but it's not Wednesday. In this context, we have maybe, number one, Allah is not challenged by any possibility. على كل شيء قدير. Well, he can't? Of course he can. A shaheed is alive anyways, so you could make someone come back. But is there a hadith? There's one. Imam al-Sadiq, salawatullahi wa salamu alayh. Al-Fudayl ibn al-Yasar, Sahabi of Imam al-Sadiq and Thiqah. Fudayl, you see his name in hadith, blindly accept it. Fudayl says, I did a majlis for Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam. And in that majlis, I invited everyone. Fudayl is not ma'soom. He didn't bring Imam al-Sadiq. You would think, yeah, Habibi, Imam al-Sadiq is here. You're doing a majlis aza for his grandfather. And literally, his great-grandfather. Because Imam al-Baqir, then Imam Zain al-Abidin, then Sayyid al-Shuhada. That's his great-grand. You would think you would invite the guy, right? No, he didn't invite him. He didn't invite Imam al-Sadiq. Maybe whatever circumstances may have led that to happen. Until he runs into him outside. Imam al-Sadiq says to him, Fudayl, did you have a majlis for my grandfather Abu Abdullah al-Hussein? He says, yes, Ibn Rasulullah, I'm so sorry I didn't invite you. By the way, brothers and sisters, just a side note, if you have a very important gathering, invite. It's okay. Because people take it personal. Invite. There's a wedding happening, and there's a friend of yours that was very close to you for a long time. Like, I'm not on good terms. Sure, you not inviting them makes it forever not on good terms. Because a wedding, they didn't invite me to their baby shower. They didn't invite me to the birthday. It's a birthday is still a bit silly. You're 30 years old, chill. But if you take it seriously, you take it seriously. How dare they not invite me? But the one-time big things, like a funeral, a wedding, a thing like that, just forget it. Just come. Because that, it stays on a record for people. We went to school together. It's okay, but then maybe they forgot. No, they know me. I was talking to them yesterday. That will never be forgotten until they get a divorce and they get remarried and then they invite you. Otherwise, these things, just let them aside. Anyways, Fudayl ibn Yasar was like, did you have a majlis? It's like, yeah, I'm so sorry. He's like, no, I attended. Like, huh? First of all, Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, if he attends a majlis, Imam al-Sadiq shines. You can't miss him. Wallahi al-Azim, in the haram of Tawaf, Imam al-Sadiq walks, everyone sees him. Noor al-Muhammad. He's like, you were there though? He's like, yeah, my house? Like, I wasn't in your house. He's like, where were you? He's like, I was outside by the shoes. He's like, Ibn Rasulullah, you should have came inside then. He's like, la, how could I come inside? And you know where this is going? How could I come inside when I saw my mother Fatima al-Zahra sitting in the center of the majlis of her son Abu Abdullah al-Hussein? Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam says, I have no heart to sit right where my mother is sitting. Keep me by the shoes. Fudayl said, Ya Allah, أكانت Fatima حاضرة? He's like, yeah, she was there. And from this, we might see that when you're told, Ya Jama'ah, in the majlis of Abu Abdullah, have some akhlaq. Why? If not for your friend to the right or your sister to the left, for a Siddiq al-Tahira who's in attendance for the majlis of her boy Imam al-Hussein. Have some decorum. The malaika you might not regard. Khalasna. Sahib al-Zaman is probably in attendance. Fatima al-Zahra is there. For her, maybe that leg that you extend, bring it back. Maybe that manner that you behave in, a bit aggressive, calm it down. Fatima al-Zahra is in presence, you respect. that she's there and honor her. It's like, I don't see her. Wallah, the hearts might see more than what these eyes will ever get to see. If Fatima al-Zahra is present in the majlis of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein, then we need to change and act up finally. Imam al-Sadiq says, listen, I couldn't enter. So hani'an for you that made it to the majlis of Fatima, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayha. And on these days of Fatimiya, brothers and sisters, when Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, salamullahi alayh, in the next 2 nights, make it a concerted effort. Make sure you attend these majalis. As-Siddiqa attends the majlis of Aba Abdullah. I wonder who attends her majlis, by the way. If not, maybe Aba Abdullah himself. It's not too hard on Allah Azza wa Jal, brothers and sisters. That in these days you find, inshallah, we will enter the masa'ib of Sayyida Zahra, especially in the next few nights, especially in the last time. You find Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib washing the body of Fatima al-Zahra. But when he does so, As-Sayyida Asma bint Umays says, I saw my leader and I see him doing something he's never done. And that is he puts the water and goes to the corner. And Ali ibn Abi Talib, the Faris, the Qali', the Shuja', places his head between his knees and begins to cry. As-Sayyida Asma bint Umays says to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, الموت لكم عادة وكرامتكم من الله الشهادة. Death for you, Ahl al-Bayt, is nothing but a norm, and your dignity is with martyrdom in the way of Allah. Ya Ali, this is something that is an honor. Why do you cry in such a disheveled state? He says, Ya Asma, indeed, death for us is an honor, but as I was washing the body of my beloved, she didn't tell me of some of the pain that she had. I felt some of those ribs that were broken. She didn't tell me, and that was to make sure I wasn't hurt. She would conceal her pains to ensure that Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam could tolerate some of the struggle. And how much patience she had in that state. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen goes to the grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. After he's buried Fatima, he goes to the grave of Rasulullah and he says, Ya Muhammad, استودعت الأمانة. I've returned your trust. You gave it to me, but I gave you it back in pieces broken. Ya Rasulullah, this is Zahra. She's back in your care. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen begins to mourn and cry until the hadith says he begins to sleep after the hours he spends by the grave of Rasulullah. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, he sees Fatima al-Zahra. Who else would he see? Come to him in the dream. She says to him, Ya Ali, go back to the home, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Zainab has woken up. And she's looking, where did my mother go? Ya Allah. Ya Ali, go. My daughter is asking for me. And you need to tend to her. She's 5 years of age. Ya Zainab, you were there alone. Karbala, you were alone. Ya Zainab, today in Sham, you're alone. Fatima al-Zahra, look at her care for her daughter. Imam Ali goes back to the home. He sees Zainab. He tends to her. She says, Baba, where is my mother? He says to her, she is with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Ya Zahra, you wanted Zainab not to be alone, and she was tended by Amir al-Mu'mineen, who was there to tend for Zainab in Ashura. Ya Zahra, if you were in Karbala and you saw Zainab standing alone and Tell Zainabiyya, who you would have seen and what she would have done. She was standing stranded all alone. She looks at bin Sa'ad and she says to him, Ya Umar, ayuqtalu Abu Abdullah wa anta tanzuru ilayh. Is that how you're going to end Imam Hussein's life and you're just staring at him? Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam stood firm and stood steadfast. One hadith tells us, brothers and sisters, that a cloud came from the heavens and from them they could see a lady dressed in black. The hadith mentioned in the Bihar of al-Majlisi Ridwanullahi alayh, over the body of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. The Sha'ar comes and reports to us these moments magnificently in the poem. أنا الوالدة والقلب لهفان ودور عن عزاء ابني وين ما كان مطروح والآن أكفان وجسم يلعب الخيل ميدان. I am the mother. I look for the majlis of my son wherever it happens. Is my family in Karbala, they're all in Akfan, they're all in shrouds now. It's as if Rasulullah said, hurt my family. He didn't say, أوصيكم بأهل بيتي. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. يا زهراء.